the larger problems of the world, the more dangerous problems of the world can be solved. There is a cure for it. What is the cure? A little selflessness in everyone. Small little dose of selflessness in every mind can cure all the problems of the world. नाहं वसामि वैकुंठे योगिनां हृदयेन च मद्भक्ता यत्र सेवन्ते तत्र तिष्ठामि मानव. I don't reside in Vaikuntha, I don't reside in the hearts of the yogis too, but wherever my devotees do service to others selflessly, I invariably install myself there. In the past, Mahavishnu said, wherever devotees sing my glory, I go there. But in Kali Yuga, that statement changes a bit. Wherever my devotees serve, I go there. Because by glorifying me, nothing is added to me, nor by ridiculing me, anything is reduced. I am constant, I am the same in praise and blame. Therefore, just glorifying God is no more appealing. But serving God in humanity, in the needy, is what attracts God to that place. Whether it is college campus, school campuses, or whether it is hospital, what draws me, what pulls me to those places is the selfless work that is being done in each of them. This is what I was mentioning to them. If you don't build a temple or two, God is not going to lose anything. But if you don't build a school or a hospital, definitely God in the form of the poor, the needy and the sick is going to lose a lot. Therefore, it is all right if you don't build a temple or two here and there. But if you all join hands to build schools and hospitals, which are the true temples of God, because that's where God is being served. Whether it is in schools or whether in these hospitals, we treat our students as gods, we treat our patients as gods. In other places, Acharya Devo Bhava, they say. But in our school, I told them, you Vidyarthi Devo Bhava. Students are God and you should serve students. In hospitals, they say Vaidyo Narayana Hari, because they consider doctor is as equal to God. But I tell them, Rogi Narayana Hari. The patient is God. Consider it, the patient is God and serve. And that is why I go to encourage them, to give them inspiration, to guide them to do this work and continue to do what they are doing and do more. Today, I came back, a lot of students have been sent home under the rule by the government to take precautionary measures against the spreading of viral infection, which is fine, which is right. So much talk is happening around the world. People from many countries are restricted to travel elsewhere in order to curb the spreading of the infection, which is also very fine. But so much is being talked of a virus which just came 3 months ago. And a few thousand deaths has scared the daylights out of everybody. Because this virus affects both poor and rich in the same way. The president and the prime minister and the poorest of the poor, all in the same way. Therefore, so much of talk. But if you know that in India itself, congenital heart disease is something that affects 250,000 newborns every year. I don't think 250,000 people are even infected by this virus so far in the whole of the world. But in India alone, 250,000 children are born with congenital heart defects. And all the services in India put together, all the hospitals, private, semi-private or semi-government and government facilities put together, cannot cater to more than 25,000 surgeries or interventions. It means 2,25,000 children every year go without any treatment. And they don't see maybe first birthday or second birthday or maybe fifth birthday. Depends on the size of the problem. So more children are dying in India itself due to congenital heart disease than what has been done because of this virus around the world. But because these children are poor, because these children don't figure in the list of who's who of the world, because this doesn't threaten the children of the rich who can afford the treatment or who don't go through this, it's a poor people's disease, congenital heart disease. Therefore, no talk happens about it. Not the way it is happening about the virus today. Not in the same way. The more than 5 million children around the world every year, they die of malnutrition. Before they attain the age of 5, they die of malnutrition. 50% of all the children who are born. That is far bigger a number than whatever is happening in the world at this point in time. 50 lakh children dying because of malnutrition. They don't have enough food to eat. It is so simple. It is not a disease. It is food which they don't get to eat. And that is why they die. But none of the governments wake up and so aggressively act upon an issue as large as that. A few thousands dying here and there is scaring everybody, and so much is being done. Borders are being shut, businesses are being closed, schools are being closed, public gatherings are being disbanded. All kinds of measures are being taken because this is affecting everyone. The poor as well as the rich. More rich because they are the ones who are traveling in flights from country to country for business and tourism. Whereas the poor, they're still in their own little villages, eating whatever they get, doing their hard work. They are quite safe and fine. Therefore, so much of noise about it. But think for a moment. There are things which this doesn't have a cure so far. But these things have a cure. Heart diseases can be cured. Interventions can be done. Children can be saved if only the world wakes up to the need for it and puts in the same kind of or even a little more effort than what it is putting right now out of the fear of death that is gripping the minds of one and all. But because these children don't figure in the list of the influential, the rich, the powerful, the famous, they're ignored. Think of malnutrition, simple thing. Food to eat. They're not asking gold and diamonds. They're just asking food to eat. But children don't get enough food to eat, and there are approximately 50 lakh children who die before they attain the age of 5 because of malnutrition. Imagine dying of hunger in a world like this, where every year number of billionaires are increasing. India adds every year more and more billionaires. Whole Southeast Asia adds, whole world adds. At the same time, there are children dying of hunger, children dying of malnutrition, children dying of heart diseases, children dying of so many other diseases. I don't have the whole list and statistics, but you can go through it if you have time and interest. So many children not getting education, equal opportunities. These are the diseases which are more dangerous than those that we are so occupied with today. And we need to draw the attention of the world towards these issues, which are far more addressable. They can be solved, and there is a solution to that. So the man is driven by fear on one end and greed on the other. When it is the fear, they think the world is ending tomorrow. They behave in such a mad way. When they are caught by greed, they think world is never going to end for them. They go on accumulating, amassing, without any thought of tomorrow. That is the way man's mind is. When it gets negative, it gets so negative as if everything is going to end. When it gets into greed, it gets so greedy that it cannot think, it cannot discriminate. Madly keep on amassing, accumulating without second thought. But the problem of the world, the larger problems of the world, the more dangerous problems of the world can be solved. There is a cure for it. What is the cure? A little selflessness in everyone. Small little dose of selflessness in every mind can cure all the problems of the world. Poverty can be cured. Illnesses can be cured, like congenital heart disease that we are dealing with. illiteracy can be cured, equal opportunities. So we went to Raipur hospital and we were taking a long 1.5 hours tour. And then we came to one section where there's a board, Sustainable Development Goals, that is by the UN and by all the nations that are part of it. And there are so many goals are there, and some of the goals we cater to, like giving free health, equal opportunities, education, and things like that. So I was telling that though so many goals are there, but how many people are seriously working on these goals? You definitely are working on your quarter-on-quarter profit goals. That nobody's asking you to. But these goals, no real sincere effort. A lot of conferences, conclaves, seminars, but all talk. Very little that translates into real good work. And therefore, when we are doing this work, then these kind of other agencies come here, witness their international bodies. They're so impressed, saying that it's such a genuine work, what is being done. Why it is to be done, they understand. And that is what makes them all join hands with us. We didn't go ask anybody for any help. People come to us and ask, you're doing such good work, how can we be a part of it? I said, this is not just my work, this is our work. These children are just not my children, these are our children. They are everyone's responsibility. Every child is everyone's responsibility. And therefore, all of us should join hands and do whatever we can. And they're so enthused, they're so inspired by the work that is being done. They said, we will join hands with you, Swamiji. You do how many ever surgeries you want. We will stand behind you, we will stand with you and help you. I was very happy because without uttering a word, they said it. This is the power of goodness. I was telling yesterday, Sanjeevani Hospital is coming to 8 years now. When it started, it was like a premature child. Half the building was ready, half was not ready. We started off the operations. I didn't want to delay it even one day beyond the date. And slowly it started with an emergency, a single operation theatre. Today 4 operation theatre, a cath lab, there is a blood bank, there is a pathology lab, there are ICUs, step down, wards, everything is completely done. And now it has an MSc nursing course. And this November we are getting BSc nursing course also in that hospital, so that training can happen for both BSc and MSc nursing within the same hospital. It has grown so much in 8 years because of so much of selfless work of so many people. This kind of work alone can save the world. When these children who have been given a new lease of life, they grow up, they'll grow up with gratitude in their hearts. So they were not forsaken, abandoned, they were not deprived, they were not looked down upon just because they were poor. They were also given same quality, even better treatment than most of the hospitals. One doctor is there, Mrs. Pandey, she has worked in Bristol and so many places, and now she works with us. She is preparing a report on our hospital's standards versus other hospitals, from Boston's Children to all other large hospitals. And she was saying not just the quality of medical work, which is extremely high quality. Number of complications that we see is one of the highest, the variety we see, because big hospitals are only available to the rich. So the larger cases are not seen by the big hospitals. We get a whole gamut of cases. So our doctors were saying these are very rare cases that very few hospitals get to even do these cases, but we get all these because we are open to everyone. So such kind of amazing work. But she said more than that, the cleanliness, the hygiene. Our hospitals have never had one infection case also. The hospital is so clean and well sterilized that not even one emergency we had because of any infections, which is very common in many of these hospitals, even big hospitals. It means from the person who cleans the hospital, so to say, janitor onwards, till the surgeon, they maintain such impeccable quality standards. Our delivery standards are one of the highest, in fact better than most of the American hospitals in terms of the success rates, despite the complications. How is it all possible? When these agencies from outside come and observe these parameters, they understand in a moment that this is very high quality work, very noble work, and done very selflessly. The patients are not made to feel like beggars. They're not made to feel like customers or clients. They're made to feel like family. Every patient we talked to, every child, every mother, they were so touched. They were all only blessing the hospital. May this hospital grow, develop, prosper, may it serve more and more children. So many dreams, and saw they're asking children, what is that you want to become? Somebody wants to become a policeman, somebody wants to become a teacher, somebody wants to become a pilot, somebody wants to become a doctor. So many dreams are getting fulfilled in that hospital, which would have been strangulated without a facility like this, right in its beginning. So that's wonderful work Raipur Hospital is doing. In 2 years, it is going to reach 10th year of operations. So all the doctors, everybody got together to discuss how can we do more, how to reach to more and more people. I saw a board there which said close to around 35% to 50% people have already spent some money or taken loans even before they reach the hospital, because they had gone to some other medical centers, other hospitals where they've spent tremendous money on diagnostics, their scans and consultations and travel. So I wanted to tell them that I want to reach out to every district so that people shouldn't have to spend that money also before reaching. We are giving it free. Why should they take debt? Why should they burden themselves even before they come to our hospitals? We should reach out to more and more places. So under the larger scheme of things, we discuss that how Sanjeevani will open outreach centers. Now in Chhattisgarh, 5 outreach centers have come up in different districts, remote districts, so that people can go there first, get themselves screened, checked, and if they need a surgery, they'll be referred to the hospital. So that they don't have to wander around the whole country in search of cure and spend so much money already. One person I asked, how much money did you spend before coming here? He said, I've already spent 4 lakh rupees. So where did you get 4 lakh rupees from? He said, I had to sell my auto rickshaw, I had to sell my land at the village, and then I had to take loans. And why did you spend this money? He said, because I did not know about this hospital. I went to Delhi, I went to Bombay, I went to everywhere. They asked me to do this scan, that, this, and they admitted the child, but they never did the operation. They only took all the money, and I still was in the same situation. But when they came here, things were different. So I was telling Srinivas the previous day, you know Srinivas is the chairperson, that Srinivas, why should we fear when we are doing good work? Of course it is hard work, it is challenging, at times difficult, at times it looks like it may not happen, or maybe we may not survive the next month. But it happens because I said the prayers of those mothers, the blessings of those mothers and fathers that come out from the depth of their heart, may this hospital prosper. May this hospital continue to do good to more and more children in the world. May many more mothers and fathers get back their children from the jaws of death. That blessing will take care that this hospital runs forever. Not only runs, it thrives and prospers year after year. And that is what is happening. That is the power of selflessness. That is the power of goodness. It is so self-perpetuating. It doesn't need anybody's help. It does not need anybody's support. It takes care of itself. That is the power of being good. Why I am telling you is that you may think that it is some divine miraculous power, as Narasimhamurthy said just now. It cannot be humanly possible. It is not divinely also possible. It is possible only for goodness. Wherever there is goodness, everything is possible. If you just be good, if you be pure, be selfless, everything is possible. Anything and everything you can achieve in life, as long as it is born out of pure selflessness, goodness, to do good for others, not for one's own sake. Anything is possible. And the live examples, the testimonies of this statement are these hospitals, these schools, these large projects which are taking care of themselves. And when a new agency like Rotary joined us, I hardly had any conversation. He straight away came and said, we are so happy to see this hospital. Whatever you want to do, you please do. We will stand with you. We will take care of all this. I was myself surprised. How is that they are saying this to us? But they felt the goodness. They were touched by the goodness. So I told him, I'm going to build one more hospital in Calcutta because he's from Calcutta. So that is 5th hospital, then 6th will come near Gujarat, Rajasthan border. Then 250 medical outreach centers in every corner of the country, so that nobody has to spend that 1, 2, 3 lakhs, whatever they have spent, wandering around to find a cure, find a remedy for the child. They can go to the nearest center and from there. For this huge team, I need how many people? I need 250 specialists, pediatric cardiac specialists. I need 250 paramedics, 250 nursing. That is just to run the outreach centers. Then I need to run these 5 hospitals. I need 250 specialist doctors, cardiac surgeons, cardiologists, anesthetists, ICU, critical care specialists, nursing, junior nursing, and all the other administrative and hospital management and all other functionaries of the hospital. So, where am I going to get all these people from? Huh? Oh, you will go. So now I have added to this, I told Srinivas, you start the BSc nursing. I'll also send some students for BSc and MSc nursing programs so they can take care of the hospital's nursing department and staffing in the future. So now you have one more vocation opening up. That is BSc and MSc nursing. It's absolutely free. Somebody told me, Swami, why don't you make them sign a bond, because we spend lakhs of rupees in training them. So at least they should stay with our hospital for a few years, so that we ensure that all the investment that is made is at least recovered to an extent. I told them, see, these calculations exist for you. I have only one bond, that is bond of love. And that bond is there, they will not for 3 years or 30 years also, they will work without any problem. I am not calculating and considering these silly calculations of money. That doesn't appeal to me. Rather, you love them so much that they feel like working in these institutions. So one more thing I want to tell that I discussed, we are starting the DNB cardiology right now, that permission is coming. After that, integrated pediatric cardiac, we are working on that course, first of its kind in India. So our students will be able to do, after MBBS, they'll grow into pediatric cardiac specialists within our hospitals. Then I calculated and saw there's one gap in between. What is the gap? MBBS is the gap, isn't it? From the school to the PG course, in between there is the MBBS course. So now I have made up my mind. Today there are second PUC students are also here, and there are, right now I'm giving scholarships to them for MBBS degrees in different colleges. But within 2 years, I'm going to start our own medical college where we will provide MBBS for free. So for our own students, is just walking out of the PUC and walking into a medical college. And that college will be absolutely free of charge in terms of its training. And every facility will be provided by us with more than 10 specialities. And you know where the college is going to come? Right here, right next door. So if you walk out of this ashram, you can get into the medical college. All this is there in my plan. But I want good children, selfless children. See, I had a little disappointment when I gave some of the students an opportunity to join the hospitals. They're only running behind their PG degrees here and there. I told them, degree doesn't teach you anything. Many of these big degrees, they go and join these big colleges, but they don't even get to touch the patient. They only stand there filling the forms, patient name, age, disease. Even at the PG level, they only get to see the patient from distance, Doordarshan, no close darshan. The close darshan is only for given the senior surgeons and specialists. Why it happens so? Because there are only few cases and everybody wants to do the case. So they don't give the opportunity to juniors. So our doctors were telling that what they learned in 5 years in other colleges, in 1 year they have learned more than that in our hospitals because of the variety and the number of cases they do. So now we also have a training program. Yesterday I met 3 people had come from Nigeria. They are here for 1 full year to get trained in pediatric cardiology. This is exactly where the Nigeria hospital is, in the Enugu state. So they are from Enugu state teaching hospital. They all have come to get trained so that when they go back, they will help the Enugu hospital to develop into a pediatric cardiac hospital. Either Fiji is coming up, Sri Lanka will be ready within this year. Nigeria is already ready. I just need specialists to put in there. Like that, many hospitals. US has started in a small way. Malaysian government has signed an MOU with our hospitals, and they are offering us a whole hospital which is simply lying without being utilized. They want to offer it, saying you people run it along with Malaysian government to provide pediatric cardiac services. Like these people from Afghanistan, we have an MOU. They want us to go and train their specialists and also help them set up a facility. In Turkey, we are going to set up a facility. Like this Sanjeevani hospital chains, which are providing pediatric cardiac facilities, not just providing pediatric cardiac of high quality but free of cost. Nowhere in the world they do it. So this is how around the world so many centers are going to come up, and all of you children have an opportunity. Some of you definitely have to become teachers, professors, to ensure that the education mission runs smoothly and reaches to every district, as I said, of the country. Some of you will have to enter in the field of medicine either as doctors or as nurses, as paramedics, based on your capacity and your abilities, and help there also. I told them no work is big or small for me. As I said, we don't have any infection in our hospital because of that little, so to say, a poor cleaner or a janitor who is doing this work. But he or she, though she is uneducated, he is uneducated, they ensure that we have the highest quality of hygiene and cleanliness, because of which our patients get cured fast. We don't get into more complications once they are operated. So that is something also that I told, whether it's chairman or watchman, to me all are saving the child in their own capacity. That should be the thinking of everyone. In whatsoever way, we should be able to help the child. So based on our capacity, abilities, skills, all these possibilities are there for all our children. I want them to utilize it well. Don't run behind unwanted degrees. They will be only, as I said, a tail behind your name, and then you will grow horns also along with it. That's what happens with degrees. Degrees will come, everything will come to you, but learn the skill. Future is not about degrees anymore. In 4 to 5 years, you will see the way education system looks at people, the employment industry looks at people is not by degrees. They will not be known because you have come from a big college or you come from a big institution. They will check you on your skill levels. And based on that, they will take you. Based on that, they will give you opportunity to work for them. So remember this, that skill is more important. I say knowledge only when skilled, not killed. But skilled leads to balance. And that balance brings insights, innovations, creativity, inventions, because you have skilled the knowledge. But most of the universities, they're only interested in acquiring knowledge which gets skilled. That is, if you study today, tomorrow you forget. So all the knowledge is skilled. There is no skill. But we should not grow as an institution like this. We should always have put efforts to understand whatever we have studied, and should be able to practically use that knowledge. That should be the effort. So all this is the future, very golden, bright future. But as I always say, nammina variki sommu, nammani variki dummu. Those who trust me, they will have sommu, they will have all the things in the world, all the wealth, all the name, prosperity, and more than that, a fulfillment in life. And those who don't trust me, dummu, they'll have to go their own way and go through their own struggles. But idea is that so much of opportunity is there. And all these opportunities for our students to grab and benefit. And then when they become professionals, they should go and do that. We're signing research MOUs also with the hospital, with our university, to develop research faculty in the field of medicine and healthcare. Also, our research department is coming up now in the university, where I've already given them so many topics to work on. So they bring their knowledge is digested, and that brings some new inventions in the field of science and technology, which will help the society. So all this is happening, much more. I think another 2 years or 2.5 years, all these facilities will be available for all the students, from the, as I said, the basic degrees onwards to post-graduations, to PhD research, postdoctoral facilities, medicine, post-medicine, that is post-graduation in medicine, further specialization in medicine, and a lifelong opportunity to work in such wonderful institutions and train and teach more and more people, help more and more people, so that those people will go and help more and more people. See, that is the way to solve the problems of the world. But I don't see that happening by any government. They may run up and down when it is a political pressure, when it's a matter of prestige, when it's an issue like what it is right now. They will run behind that because they have to save themselves, save the reputation. But who will listen to the pain and the problem of downtrodden and the poor? Who is going to bend low and pick them up and raise them to our own standards? Who is going to go to those nooks and corners of the world and light a lamp in the dark lives of those who are suffering? You think governments will do that? You think big industries will do that? You think these huge corporate institutions will do that? You think even most of the NGOs will do that? No. The only group that will do that is Satya Sai's group, which is going to go to these nook and corners and save the world. So that is your future. Don't let it slip out of your hands. Hold it tight. Don't let it slip out of your grip. That is your responsibility. Giving is my responsibility. To receive and to hold it carefully is your responsibility.